Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to Monday. Um, Obviously, I am not Laura. She's not here this week and asked me to fill in, and I apologize for not being able to be here last week. I was sick. The body doesn't always cooperate with what you want to do. The last time I was here, I was talking about being in the political season and what I felt were the missing elements in the dialogue, which were equanimity and empathy. And here we are a week after, just about a week after. Some people are related, some people are horrified. Um, but the need for empathy is no less real. If there has ever been a time to meet the world with compassion, kindness, and empathy and equanimity, now is the time. So, I'm going to talk about empathy tonight. And by that, I mean to be able to look at our own pain and grief, dukkha, and use it as a lens through which to see other people's suffering. So rather than judge the people around us, especially on the opposite end of the political spectrum, to try to come to a place of this person is suffering and this is what that looks like, and meet our current environment with empathy. And the reason why this particular topic comes to mind is the night after the 2016 election, which felt a lot like this one. um, Donald Rothberg, one of the Spirit Rock teachers, came to Louisville, Kentucky, where I was living at the time, and gave the same talk. Said now is the time for empathy. And I agree. So, first, let's sit for about 25 minutes or so. And it is good to see you guys. Missed y'all last week. So, let's start by finding a comfortable meditation posture. And that is one in which we can be relaxed and alert at the same time. Your head and back are aligned. If you tuck in your chin just a little bit, and there's like a string, like right at the crown of your head, gently pulling up a little bit, and straightens the vertebrae in your neck at the top of your spine without straining or stressing any of the muscles in your neck or shoulders. And just let gravity do its thing and let your body settle into your seat. Just take a slow, long, deep breath, about 3/4. And as you breathe out, just continuing to let the body settle. There's nothing to hold to, there's nothing to be tensed from, there's nothing to guard against. Just breathing in and allowing your body and your mind to settle into this moment. slow, deep breath in. You might want to say to yourself quietly, settle, settling the mind. And letting your breathing return to normal. And let your attention come to the sensations of the body breathing in and out. And just focus your attention there. If it's easy, focus your attention on the sensations of air moving in and out of your nose. If it's easy, focus your attention on the belly moving in and out. Whenever it's easy, just to focus on breathing. Breathing in, aware of breathing in. And breathing out, aware of breathing out. And when your mind wanders off, which it will, just notice thinking as a phenomenon, as a thing that happens, without getting involved in the story or the process or whatever you're thinking about. Just the phenomenon of thinking. You might want to say to your mind, settle, settle. And gently begin again, focused on the breath. Thoughts arise, feelings arise. Maybe like clouds, wispy at the edges, denser in the middle, wispy as they float away. You just watch them come and go. They arise, they fade. Come back to the breath and start again. And as we come towards the end of this sitting, I invite you to let whatever settledness or openness you may have experienced from this practice to enable you to open your heart and view the world, take in the world with compassion, kindness, equanimity, empathy. And may it be that we find ourselves more able to see suffering as what it is, not as a character assessment, to recognize we're all trying to be well and whole and feel safe, and to meet each other there. May the benefits of this practice be a benefit to all beings everywhere. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings be at ease and at peace. Thank you for your practice. The topic, as I said tonight, is empathy and compassion. It's easy to look out these days, especially given the events of the last week, and see a lot of selfishness and greed and disaffection, warring camps of people who can't stand each other, winners, losers, people who've divided the world up that way, and it's easy to get discouraged. We seem to be living in this modern winner-take-all culture, and it's easy to fall into despair and get frustrated, especially now. But we can always begin simply by recognizing the destructive nature of fear-based reactivity, rather than taking a breath, leaning into equanimity, responding rather than reacting. This fear-based reactivity is a coping mechanism. It helps us feel safe under stress, but it doesn't add to our safety, nor does it improve anything. So what I'm suggesting is something else. I saw a documentary on the Dalai Lama. You can't in any way be exposed to him and not have it change you. And his teacher was imprisoned by the Chinese for years and years. And when he came out, The Dalai Lama asked him what was the scariest part. He said the only time he really felt like he was in danger was when he thought that he was losing his compassion for his captors. Now that's a pretty advanced state, and most of us aren't there. But His Holiness also said, from my limited experience, I have found that the greatest degree of inner tranquility comes from the development of love and compassion. Ultimately, the reason why love and compassion bring the greatest happiness are simply that our nature cherishes them above all else. The need for love lies at the very foundation of human existence. It results from the profound interdependence we all share with one another. We can start by cultivating compassion. I worked in incarceration facilities as a mental health worker for several years. Ended that part of my career at Juvenile Hall in Sacramento. And one of the things that I discovered with those kids was they needed someone to say, I see you. Instead of, you're bad. No, I see you. Can we meet the people around us with, I see you? And that's the nature of empathy. The capacity to feel what another person is feeling, and not just through intellectual observational assessment, but by actually knowing that we experience similar feelings ourselves and letting that be the lens. Empathy requires us to be willing to look at our own experience of our own pain and then use that to meet other people and resonate. It's a double-edged sword, for sure, right? Witnessing another person's pain can trigger our own unhealed wounds, leading us to meet with some sort of aversion, anger, judgment, revulsion, turning them into some sort of toxic other, while they are also turning us into some sort of toxic other. So if this is going around and round, we're the ones in a position to put our finger in the middle of the process and have something else grow up around it. Yeah, we cringe. There's a lot of cringing going around these days. But something can come after that. Accepting that we cringe and accepting the experience of that. And then contemplate what comes next. We can breathe into our own suffering and witness others' pain with some version of, this is what this person may be feeling, and bear witness. I think this is especially important in today's political environment, where we are surrounded with hostility and name-calling and posturing, and I'm better than you are, and increasingly nasty rhetoric, and increasingly turning people into some sort of toxic other. But what we're really witnessing is another form of dukkha. In the first turning of the Dharma wheel, the Buddha said, life includes suffering. Now, Buddhism is the great debate society. It's been going on for 2,500 years. People have been debating what he meant by dukkha. To me, it means grief, dissatisfaction. We all experience that. We're all trying to move to some sense of wholeness and feeling of well-being, even the people we don't appreciate. And then we can contemplate where we can go and what we can do. This is not a call for passivity, okay? This is not a call to surrender to the unacceptable. This is a call to walk forward with an open heart. Because nothing is to be gained from turning people into the toxic other. And what can we do? And then we contemplate. the ability to be without suffering, our own and others, without resentment, without blame, without fear-based reactivity, and without the survival-based responses that divide us. I'm reminded of an interview with Jimmy Carter. He was asked to sum up his spirituality. He said, love God, love the person in front of you. It's not more complicated than that. I also like to contemplate the Hindu sage Ramana Maharishi, who was once asked, how should we treat others? He said, there are no others. There are no others. In this time of uncertainty and hostility and fear, the values of kindness and compassion and equanimity have never been more important. Thomas Merton, hero of mine, said, our job is to love others without stopping to inquire whether or not they are worthy. That is not our business, and in fact, it is nobody's business. What we are asked to do is to love, and this love itself will render ourselves and our neighbors worthy. So let's start there. It doesn't mean I don't respond. It means I respond with discernment and consideration and leaning into equanimity to get a clearer view of the path forward. Now, I'm no starry-eyed idealist to believe that we're always going to be able to do this, especially now as we watch what's about to unfold. So I come back to what I consider to be the Buddha's first teaching, when he opened his eyes under the Bodhi tree and he looked right into his own darkness, his own fear, his own self-doubt, and said, I see you. I see you, Mara. Let's have tea. So let's start with I see you. Let that be enough. And when our own reactivity overtakes us, which of course it will, right, we can meet ourselves there. I was on a meditation retreat in May. I was really struggling with something that went down with a friend of mine, and still unresolved. Someone I've known for 40 years. And I was resisting, and the mind stream was turning into the right, the wrong. And the moment of healing in that, came when I stepped back and stopped separating out parts of myself and just said, I see you. That's empathy. I see you. So as we come out into, move forward into the coming days, sometimes feeling like we should blow up the TV, which is not in itself a bad idea, by the way. Any John Prine fans here? Blow up the TV, throw away the paper, move to the country? Now might be a good time. Let's just try as best we can, bring right effort to compassion, kindness, equanimity, and empathy. So thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you. That was a good message for right now. I've been working on compassion, and I'm finding the loving kindness meditation to be the most useful and most comforting activity. So thank you for your words. I appreciate it.
I think now is a good time for metta practice. Now is a good time for loving kindness practice. I was pretty sick the last week. I was in the hospital for a few days, and I'm okay. I got exposed to something anyway that none of that matters. I found myself leading into the Medicine Buddha mantras. I found myself leading into metta practice. The mind has a negative default. That's just neurobiology. And I have a whole Dharma talk I give on that. The mind defaults to negative, to feeling that we are in danger. We're hardwired. We can respond to that with, I'm okay, and then bring kindness forward. Even I was at the gym a few weeks ago wearing a political t-shirt. Some of you may be able to guess what that was.
Mm-hmm.
And someone came up and started yelling at me, right, in the gym. And my first impulse was not to be kind, because I felt very defensive. Even though I know this person wasn't going to hurt me. But I was able to step back and say, would you please just stop talking and leave me alone? Of course, that didn't help, but she was pretty escalated. But there's that first that sets in, right? Something always comes next. Metta practice is a good place for that. So, thank you. Anybody else?
I'm assuming, well, I lost my picture.
Technology works sometimes.
Trying to find it, but I'm assuming that you're unhappy with election results. I'm not sure, but I'm in a group of, I go to a podcast every week, and at the end of it, we do a global peace meditation, and I voted for Trump, and we included in our meditation, and we have been including in our meditation the others of people who are grieving over the election result, and we, put in prayers for them as well. And I think that's a good idea to just, along with the loving kindness meditation, I think.
It's a frightening time. I'm Jewish. I lost family in the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
When a right-wing politician on the one hand says the Jews are disloyal, and on the other hand talks about rounding up people, an alarm goes off.
Who's rounding up? All right.
And so how do I meet that? First off, nothing is happening to me today. I'm still recovering from being extremely sick. That's happening to me today. Metta practice, at the end of metta practice, we start metta practice with loving kindness to ourselves. The end of metta practice is when we wish well for all beings. Whether or not they voted the way we do or not, whether or not they support our ideals or not. That's the healing piece. That kind of energy. Not that they're right and we're wrong, or we're right and they're wrong. And the compassion piece, the loving kindness piece. And I tell you that when you meet somebody who's like all amped up on this stuff, with that, it surprises them. That's okay. And not everybody can take it in, and that's okay. But we do the best we can. Anybody else? We have another 10 minutes or so. We can end early, or we can do another meditation quickly. Can I get a consensus?
Let's do another meditation.
Brian, were you voting for something or were you? Meditation, say yes.
Yes.
Go home. Okay. It's, nobody's forcing anybody to stay. I'll set my inside timer for 10 minutes.
Guys, I can't seem to get my picture back, so I think I'm just gonna shut everything down here. So, sorry to
It's okay.
cut it, but you guys have a great meditation, and I hope you all have a great week.
Thank you.
Take care, Gail. So let's just sit quietly for 10 minutes and I'll ring the bell.
Here it is. It's back. It's back.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, that was good.
See y'all next time.
Okay.
Bye. Good night, guys. Thanks.
Good night.